Welcome to day one of the two-in-one course. Well, when the video starts, we need to put that here. It's Azure Administrator AZ104 and Azure Security AZ500. So that's two critical courses in one course. And whenever I start a course, I tend to say that be ready to work hard. And I've seen so many examples of people being so busy, but the only difference between them and anyone else was they just worked harder. And many of them now are enjoying very good jobs. And, well, you've worked hard by not going to maybe friends or going to picnics, or you just kept on repeating the labs, and you kept on trying to understand the concepts and repeat the videos again and again. But that sacrifice will give you rewards. And so many examples I have till now. I've been teaching so long, and some of the, I don't believe in that, sir. I cannot take out time. It's impossible for me. I have a job, I have a family. So I have seen so many examples now of really where the timing was impossible, and people working 10 hours and then attend to family and then do all the labs as well. So people have given their 100% effort, and some of them now are actually in very good jobs. So the thing is that when you start the course, think that now I'm going to be so serious about going through the concepts, understanding the concepts, and I'm going to do the labs. I'm going to repeat, repeat, repeat. Repetition is the golden word here, right? So the more you repeat, the confidence level increases, then increases. You troubleshoot, market needs troubleshooters, right? The more knowledgeable you are about the course, the better you are in the interview, the better you are in the next projects that you're starting in your company. So that all comes from hard work and sacrifice. So you should be ready when you start any course. You should be ready about one thing, that, hey, I'm giving my time here. This time is so crucial. I could have been with my family right now. I could have been doing some other useful thing, but I'm giving my time here. So I'm going to make sure that I get all the benefits that were supposed to be received from this time, right? So the benefits are that you understand the most in-demand skills in the market. You practice those labs again and again, again and again, until your confidence level reaches so sky high that when somebody asks that, okay, what, oh, you've done Administrator AZ104 course, really? Okay, what about storage security, or what about storage scalability? And you would start talking about storage from one side. You will start, and the way you will say the first sentence about storage, because you must have worked so much hard on it, the way, the confidence level, the ease of saying things comes from hard work, right? And sacrifice and effort. So the way you'll start talking, the listener will understand right away, oh man, this guy knows what he or she's talking about. So that all confidence comes from sacrifice and hard work, right? So yes, this course, you will have full week to talk, have time to give it to, and there will be some much longer labs that will come your way. So difficulty comes, but you should be ready to overcome those difficulties. You should be ready to sacrifice your time. You should be ready to work harder. Normally, I say be ready for 200% effort. So 100% is already enough, right? So 200%, this means that you're so dedicated that when you're out of this course, all the topics are so clear to you. And when you start talking, others will know right away, this is the person I should be talking to. He or she knows what he or she's talking about, right? So that's where, the benefit of giving this time for, in the near future when you're giving this time. So that would be the benefit of that. I will be pushing you but you should be determined to do to understand the concepts, repeat the labs, repeat the labs, repeat the labs, and then go for certification. And as I would say, go tough when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. I saw that in a movie, right? So action movie. But anyway, the thing is that if you're ready to work hard, this is nothing, and this will really all the tough labs will become easier for you when you are determined and you're determined to win. So just try to say that yes, I can do it, and I will. So then you start the course, then you really repeat all the labs again and again. It's going to be tough, it's going to be hard, but once you overcome it, the rewards are waiting for you on the other side, right? So always keep that in mind that I am determined to start the course, then I'm going to finish it with 100% effort, right? Okay, so I'm going to be motivating you more, during the course as well, because I go for hands-on labs. My concept of doing an IT course is that it's a practical field, so we should learn by doing it, right? So that's why you will find enough theory that is useful and that is needed, and then it's all labs. So that's why so many beginners have also been able to do my courses with sheer hard work, and because it was totally hands-on. So when you see something happening and somebody's explaining why this should be done and why this option should not be taken, so it's pretty straightforward, and not a lot of effort is needed then to understand for even a beginner, right? So I've seen so many beginners now, system administrators and cloud administrators, and earning a really good salary. So the thing is that you're determined to go ahead, and whenever tough labs come, you're ready to repeat them again and again, right? So that's what you're supposed to have in your mind when you're moving forward. So, well, anyway, I need to move forward. So here, so it's 20 plus years of experience in IT, and I'm your instructor. So I've been doing this system administration job for quite some time, and or jobs, and then teaching is my passion. So whatever projects I do in the market, whatever tasks I was given by the management to do and implement, I then implement in the course as well. So I try to go for whatever right now is being implemented, whatever is in demand today in the market. So even in those bigger colleges like Humber and George Brown and Durham College, where especially in Durham College, they had a virtualization course, and that was totally like basic virtualization course, and they're proper, government based college, so government backed college, so they had their rules, and I just didn't follow anything. And in the class, I kept on going for the toughest labs possible with virtualization of, Hyper-V and VMware. Their laptops were even not qualified for these kind of labs, and I pushed them so hard for this, and they had to do it for the marks, obviously. But wherever the colleges say I see older courses, I just simply push the newest ones, which when you finish the course, you should be able to get a job for that, right? So older courses, what's the benefit if you don't get a job for that? So, we need to know ground realities, and we have to move ahead and keep moving ahead according to the market, not according to the college curriculum, right? So now, I teach all technology courses like SQL, George Brown College, Exchange Online, Exchange on premises. Then I went to 3 years ago, 4 years ago, actually. I started early with as soon as I got the projects of Azure AWS, I started teaching them as well, introduced them to the students, and pushed them to go through the cloud projects there. Currently, I'm in a company downtown Toronto, and it's they call system administration, but it's all cloud. They're totally on cloud actually, so it's not hybrid. So security and design and day-to-day administration. So I get to do all that. I was doing that before as well. So in this company also I'm doing. And again, whatever I'm doing nowadays in Azure. So that's what I intend to. Well, obviously we need to meet the exam objectives of AZ-104. So definitely those will be covered. And that's pretty much all new as well. So that's what we're doing in the job market, and that's what we intend to implement here as well. Okay, so if we go ahead, then when it comes to cloud, AWS is the top CSP cloud service provider, and but Microsoft is really gaining ground. When you go through AWS Solutions Architect Associate certification, right? So that tells you in depth about AWS administration. And then you go after doing AWS, if you go to Azure, then you realize, oh, so you realize first thing how professional AWS are, although adoptability ratio in the market for companies which are adopting more towards Microsoft Azure is more. North America, we have more projects, more jobs for Microsoft Azure than AWS, but having multiple vendor skills is always recommended. So I will soon be launching AWS Solutions Architect Associate and another of the AWS courses because that needs to be learned as well. Plus, MDM courses already started. So mobile device management in the morning time from 10 to 2. So now, if we go ahead, topping certifications of 2020, so that's 2020, but gives an idea about the market. But this is not what I, I intended to put here. I put here it's not about this 2020. I'll just remove this slide. This is forgot to edit. So here's top paying Microsoft certifications in 2022. And that is 104 is the top paying certifications. Obviously, you need to know inside out of Microsoft Azure administration. When I was interviewed, this is obviously another job, so nearly 2 years ago. So that was a lot of questions about 104 since I was teaching. So everything was here in the mind. So thank God I was just so confidently saying all that because I was doing it in every class, right? So benefit. But the thing is that these are the certifications that are really hard in the market. You can see fundamentals, but when you say topping and then fundamentals, the second one, so this fundamental people are doing a lot. And yes, companies want to know that, do you know the, all the services of Azure? So fundamentals is good. Now, a lot of fundamentals will, if you've done that Azure fundamentals, so a lot of it is covered in Azure administration course as well. And then you will, once you're done with the Azure administration course 104, then you should be able to, if you want to go do it yourself, the Azure fundamentals, you should be able to do that yourself as well. Many students did that and they were able to easily understand all. It's again, fundamentals. We're going much further than fundamentals, right? But you will be able to do that course as well. My suggestion, if you haven't given this AZ900 certification, give that and then give this 104 as well. Those two together, many students have done, and they were able to easily more understand the concepts of Azure after reviewing fundamentals. Okay, so
Excuse
thank you
me,
for the
sir.
comment. Yeah.
Is it a prerequisite to do 900 before attempting 104?
No, there's no prerequisite for that. And by the way, that was a very cute voice. Okay, anyway, so that there's no prerequisite for that, and you can jump directly to Azure Administrator. And if you, but you will be, I think 70% of that will be covered in this course anyway. And this is more critical than 900. So you will be able to do the other course anyway, but there's no prerequisite. Suppose you just go for AZ-104 only, that's it. I think that's all you need because that's the most in demand. In terms of people doing it a lot, that's what this table also shows. But in terms of top paying, suppose you just go for AZ-900 fundamentals, I don't think they're going to pay you top money there for just that. That's fundamentals, right? But so many people are giving that. So, but there's no prerequisite for first give this and then give that. So there's no such thing. And the other one that we intend to do is AZ-500. Microsoft Azure security. So I think where I got this from for 2022, this site, uh, if they put that as top paying, so I don't think there's even a reliable sequence. I'll check some more sites and put some more information in, that LMS where you can find more tables there, comparison tables. So anyway, topping certifications there. So 104 being the top one. So we're on the right track at least. But security is then, what I would recommend, Azure's administrator, yes, must have. And then security must have. And then is this Azure Architect. In fact, that's another course code for that now. So architect, so administration, security, and design. These three are must-have courses. And then you pretty much cover more of Azure, and you're presentable in the market, IT market, for better salaries, right? When you have these three on your resume. So the two of those we're covering anyway. And it all depends on your hard work, your sacrifice, your effort, your repetitions, how good you become after the course is done, right? So do you know why migration to the Azure cloud is crucial for your business? Well, that's, the marketing as well, but pretty much true as well, that it's lower cost. So lower than their rivals. Microsoft rivals is AWS, right? AWS Solutions Architect. And they have the bigger chunk of the clients and income, but still companies with, some budget restrictions or restraints go for Microsoft Azure. Second thing, it's Microsoft. They have on-premises Windows Server 2012, 2018, 2022, 2019, right? Not 2018, 2019. So they already know Microsoft. So adopting Microsoft first is, it seems very good idea. And then they realize that then they try AWS as well, and then they compare. And many companies have both AWS and Azure. And the Fortune 500 at least would have AWS. Majority of the critical workload would be on AWS, and Azure would be a backup for them. Even Google Cloud, it's a bit more cheaper. It's a developer heaven, programmers heaven, Google Cloud, but it also provides all the cloud services as Azure and AWS, but it's not as mature as Azure and AWS. So increased scalability. Yes, you can scale. Suppose you want to deploy 100 machines right now. So you can deploy that with scale sets. We're going to do that lab and we're going to understand that how to do this. But scalability is being offered by AWS and Google Cloud as well. Faster time to market. Yes. So whatever you want to deploy, it can be fast. And they are really becoming professional because, well, from experience and from friends talks that I have with who are in different companies as administrators, Azure is really gaining ground in terms of market share. And my company is a full Microsoft shop, so everything is Microsoft there. So Azure and all its services, we have developers there. It's pretty good. We are trying to push some of the workload to AWS as well, but our company policy is strictly Microsoft, so we're okay. And it's working fine as well for us. Manage data storage simple. So this is storage. We're going to go in depth with storage and explore each and every feature of that. And you're going to see that it's pretty professional. Microsoft is there with Department of Defense, US Department of Defense, right? And US government cloud is there with AWS and Microsoft as well. So that much professional they are, because obviously now comes the security and criticality of data to such a level that its defense of a country depends on that. So they have to really be abiding by all the international protocols and standards. Then they could get the contract for defense for US, right? And for many other countries. So we're going to explore all that in depth, that what kind of features are there, how professional they are. And then there's reliability and security. So when we compare to AWS and Azure, obviously AWS was there a year before Azure reached there. When I say there, so suppose you have a virtual machine in uh, East Coast region or Eastern US region, and then you have another virtual machine in West Coast or West US region. So obviously, you would want to have a failover there as well. So AWS was offering that like a year ago, and then after a year I saw that in Microsoft they are offering that. Okay, so in one continent you have a virtual machine and another continent you have a virtual machine, and we can fail over that way as well. So Azure is catching up with all the features that I saw way back in AWS. Then, oh, now this is here in Azure as well. Wow, I'm seeing that gap, filling up, and they are coming up with those features which already AWS has a little earlier now. Still, market share in North America, there are more jobs for Azure. You will find a lot of projects coming your way for Microsoft Azure and security. So if we go ahead and Indeed.com. So yeah, normally I go right away with what's the ground reality here, and how the market is really, responding to which kind of skills are needed there. So I'll just quickly go ahead with that. What's going on with the market. So if I just drag this here, and it's Indeed.com, this is a job site, recruiter site, right? So I put Scarborough here, or you can just put Toronto GTA as well, and go for Azure only, or Azure Administrator, or Azure Data Engineer. So then it comes to just type Azure in your city, right? So it keeps on going then. All the companies really require, and there are full-time jobs available now. OMERS, and these are big companies, right? So with huge budgets, and senior network administrator for Santia, Richmond Hill, and remote in Canada. So even remote jobs are there. IT infrastructure, North York. So they keep on going for different jobs which have Azure in the cloud solution engineer. So it's all cloud, 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 cloud. So if you just put the word cloud, I mean, there will be even more. And then there are so many pages here, and these are all latest jobs. They are posted 8 days ago, 5 days ago, 3 days ago, and this was 0 minutes ago. Oh, that's, yeah. Anyway, so the thing is that when you come to market reality, Azure is everywhere and in every company. And yes, you can get a good paying job like 45 per hour, 55 per hour, even 60 per hour, right? That's not a myth. Many of my students, oh, two of my students who were CCIE in Cisco, and that is also double CCIE. And they were seeing some projects in their current jobs where they were required to go over cloud and also configure networking there. So they had to then come here, and they were saying their CCIE, double CCIE, and I was like, whoa, so why are you here? Okay, they require me to work on cloud as well. So then they went to the cloud courses and pretty hands-on. So they then got the 60, 70 per hour jobs, which is not a myth anymore. Even now I see few of the jobs are like 90 and 100 per hour as well, but that's pretty crazy. Why would they want to pay for that much money? Anyway, the more desperate the company, and they can afford it though, obviously, with big clients. Anyway, so there's that ground reality that Azure jobs are everywhere. It's time to really get serious with the in-depth learning of Azure, and the more hard work you do, the better, sooner you get a better job, right? Otherwise, next year you will be thinking again, oh, I should have done last year, but okay, this year I'll do that. And I've seen some students thinking that, and again, trying to get their mind up to start the course again and again every year. So now is the time. uh, just be ready with your 200% effort, and to finish it and properly do it and understand it, and be ready for a job in 6 to 8 months, or even much earlier than that. There's no shortcut, and never look for a shortcut, right? Work hard, and hard work always gives you rewards. And I've seen so many of the beginners now, they teach me some of the things that they have done in the market. And I'm like, well, thank you, sir. Okay, so now I'm going to go for some more of the career and some courses that you should have, the skills that you should still have, because there are so many new projects coming and so many other companies having bigger salary jobs. So there are so many certifications. Which ones we should go for that start offering 25 per hour up to 60 per hour? So if we go for that, so there are some recommendations. It's from um, infrastructure point of view. If you're a developer, obviously this is not the plan for you. If you're just a DBA and you're not taking care of infrastructure as well, or the environment surrounding the databases, then this would not be. But otherwise, yes, everyone has to have some of those skills in today's market. So Microsoft exams, AZ-104, it's a must-have. And then Microsoft 365, inside this, at least Exchange server, you should know how the emails really are going. Exchange Online, AZ500 a must-have. And then that architect course, how you design the whole environment, how many virtual networks, how many subnets, and what storage should be connected to which virtual network. So all that design has to be done as well. So must-have certifications for Microsoft would be AZ-104 administration, then Microsoft 365 Exchange Online, Endpoint Manager. I should also, or I should just say Intune, because every company has devices. Uh, how to handle from cloud thousands of devices. So it's a must-have course nowadays. And many students have asked me that, okay, my boss is saying that we are having an MDM solution, mobile device management solution. Do you know that? And they are then looking for videos and labs. I want to manage from cloud all the devices, uh, of the company, and cell phones and tablets, everything, Android, iOS. So then this is a must-have course as well nowadays. Um, Many companies are actually moving to Microsoft Intune. So that's why it has become even more important now. Then comes the certification for System Center Configuration Manager. Now, this is good to have. This is on premises. But if you are done with Intune, at least cloud side of the device management and configurations, you're good in. You will be good in. Otherwise, it's good to have. And then there is VCP, VMware certification. So it's a must-have as well. Many companies still have big local data centers there. And that's why they have to, and they will have VMware there most probably. And 80% of the companies have for virtualization solutions, the VMware. So it's a must-have as well. Those students who have done only cloud courses, then they came back, and when they were giving interview, they came back and, sir, they're asking about VMware questions. While I'm cloud expert, and the job says it's supposed to be a cloud expert job, but then they start, oh, we have virtualized environment. Do you know that too? Because how to migrate a VMware virtual machine from a VMware environment to a AWS or Azure environment. So how do you do that? So they were asking that. Then the students started doing VMware as well. Anyway, these skills are must-have VMware course. Then Citrix is good to have. Obviously, it's pretty important. It has been important. Application virtualization. You can provide that application on slow networks, over the WAN, on any devices. Well, now there's cloud, so Citrix has cloud side as well. Good to have course. ITIL management, how to do a change in IT department, how the change management should professionally be done. So all that is also important. So it's also a must-have course, ITIL. You must know network side because even the course that I'm starting, obviously I will show you in a way that it will be so easy for you. But if you haven't done separately CCNA course, at least to learn what is switching and routing, put that in your plan to at least do CCNA course, Cisco Certified Network Associate. And if you have done CCNP as well, wow, that's amazing. Now, also, you should understand operating system inside out. So Microsoft operating system is used, but Linux operating system is also used in cloud environment. So when you have a virtual machine, you have to have some kind of operating system inside. Well, there's containerization as well, containerization and Kubernetes. So the thing is that they also have some operating system files, but it's but virtual machines will have either a Windows operating system or a Linux operating system. So better be an expert in both, but anyone, you should be an expert, and other, you should know some basics of that at least. So then comes the security. Then there's certified ethical hacker, CEH courses. This is like in depth, right? So ethical hacker. So once you go through that course and you know hacking, then there's no guarantee about being ethical or staying ethical after that. Anyway, but it's ethical hacker course that you learn all the techniques and you stay ethical. Again, I'm saying the same thing. CISSP for security. So either you go for vendor neutral security courses like these, or vendor specific security courses. So we're planning for Azure security here, but if any one security course on your resume would look really good, but if you want to make a security profile on your resume, then obviously it's a combination of courses there that you have. So this is when you go to design level, on vendor neutral, that what is security, how do you approach the company security, and then when you want to go really in depth, that is also vendor neutral. So then it's certified ethical hacker, CEH. But other than that, you need to go to the most adopted cloud services provider security as well. So AWS, Azure are everywhere in the market. So is Google Cloud as well now. And their security would be every company's prime requirement. Other than that, it's Amazon Web Services. Now, I have not been teaching before. I used to teach AWS and Azure both together in 2-in-1 courses, but then I went straight for Azure or Microsoft related courses. And there are so many jobs there actually for that, and requirements are more for Microsoft based cloud courses. But then AWS is still a good, crucial skill in your resume. It will prove to be. And I'll be soon starting that solutions architect. They have changed a lot. And obviously, they started cloud. They are really professional. So always you want to learn the cloud concept from those who were the initiators or starters of that, who introduced cloud. So they are, when you work with AWS, it's amazing. And then when you go, then Microsoft Azure, you see a difference there. Okay. Anyway, then Google Cloud, it really went into market, and the demand grew a lot because of containerization and Kubernetes. Google Cloud came up. They introduced Kubernetes and containerization way back, and now everyone has adopted that. We're going to do the containerization in AZ-104. What is that, and what is Kubernetes, right? So whatever labs we could do, and the rest in diagrams as well, we're going to show. So, but Google Cloud is also big in demand now. And in terms of cloud service providing, it's not that good as Azure and AWS, but still, because of the developers side, it's really very good platform as well. Okay, so that's what I'm saying here is try to understand cloud environments, then try to understand the SaaS side of software as a service side of it, where how company emails are going, and then how thousands of company devices are managed. And then if many big companies are still having hybrid environment, so you should know the hybrid side of that, which is VMware. And then networking is everywhere, on premises and cloud. So CCNA. Then within the virtual machine, there are operating systems. So you should know Linux or Windows. And then at least one security certificate should be there. Also another vendor of cloud environment. So that's pretty much the plan. The must-haves are there, and you make a plan. Maybe 1 year, 1.5 year, you give it your 200%. And like so many other students, which are now enjoying very good jobs, you could be one of them as well, if you're not there yet. But thing is, you have a plan. All you need to do is work hard and go ahead, repeat all the labs, right? Okay. So if we go ahead a little, then just when we talk about cloud, so it's infrastructure as a service, and SaaS, which is software as a service. When it comes to SaaS, And so this is in our language, it means mother-in-law, SaaS, right? Okay. So what am I talking about? So seriously, but in our language, SaaS is equally important. So okay. Anyway, this is SaaS or software as a service, and uh, when we talk about SaaS and IaaS, so let me just go through some of the labs here. Okay, that was just me. I was explaining the MDM side of it in Tune. So there is that IaaS and PaaS. So what are we doing then? Are we doing the SaaS course or PaaS course or IaaS? So IaaS is infrastructure as a service, right? Infrastructure as a service. So the whole infrastructure, the whole data center is available in front of you. All you need to do is just have internet connection and have the service available by registering to it and putting your credit card there. Yeah, I said credit card. So when we are opening this account, we will need to open an Azure 30-day trial account. I will be giving all the details because we need to do the labs in an environment equal to a live environment, right? Where companies work. So for that, we need to create an account and free trial. So, but what is infrastructure as a service? And this is what we're going to do because this is a data center at your disposal, right? So it's data center at your disposal, right? So what is that? What do you do in a data center? So in a data center, you actually go for, you want to create virtual machines. So you can put applications inside. Suppose it's a bank, so banking applications. So thousands of users can connect to those, applications. So when you connect to TD Bank, maybe some of you have TD Bank or whichever bank you have, right? Scotia Bank or any other RBC. So you go to connect to the web application website of it. So in the background, there are thousands of physical machines. On top of that, the web application of the bank are running, and you're connected to one of those servers in the background. So if the whole data center gets disconnected, thousands of users will be disconnected, right? So you have a full data center at your exposure. What do you do in the data center? You create virtual machine, create storage. Now storage will save what? The most critical thing of all times. What will it save? Data. So your company's critical data will be placed inside virtual machines as well as in storage. So how do you secure that? Is it okay, questions later, but data center offers storage as well. Then data center is, you must have a good networking there. You can create networks, you can create smaller networks or subnets of that. We're going to be creating all that, and VNets, subnets, peering. What is peering? So there's a lot of features there. Once you do it, you understand right away. Once you see it happening and understand the concepts. So then there are databases there. So how do you deploy a database? Database is like it saves data, right? Wow, what a basic thing to say. Saves data, but when that data is terabytes and terabytes and petabytes of data, and that's so critical data, and thousands of users need to access that data, then how do you manage it on top of a cloud? So and then there are so many other hundreds of other corporate services, and those are all offered on a data center. So when I say a data center at your disposal, so there's obviously supposed to be an example of that, or some visually we should be seeing that too. When I go for AWS data center, suppose, right? So AWS data centers, and I go for not news images. Okay, typical data center looks like this. So it's some simple looking building, and it has inside, it would be as sophisticated as this, and well, it would be connected with these cables. and there will be data centers nearby as well. There would be a lot of racks here, right? And in the racks, there would be hundreds of physical servers, like IBM servers, and that would be again another data center that would look like this, and you can see how huge it could be. So maybe so it normally they say 100,000 up to 300,000 physical servers are there. When we say server, so it's not the restaurant server that we're talking about, because I'm hungry, so I just imagined that. Anyway, so these are the physical servers that we're talking about, 100,000 to 300,000 physical servers in rows and rows of those servers in these racks are available in those huge data centers. And these data centers are in all the business hubs around the planet, in every continent. AWS has invested billions of dollars. Microsoft Azure has invested. Google has invested billions of dollars. They've connected all the continents with their own cabling. Really? Okay. Yes, they have the scope of investment. So if we go for submarine cables, so they have connected continents with these cables, and they are on seabed, and they're putting cables with tugboats there. So they're actually putting all the cables on the seabed there, and they are connected. All continents are connected with submarine cables under the sea, right? And if you are fixing a cable, so that's how it's going to look like. If you're putting up a cable or pulling up a cable again, so you would use balloons there. But anyway, all those cables are connected, and they are on ocean floors here, moving across the continents there, right? And if there's any issue there, so they try to fix it. Inside of a cable, there are layers, and that's how our continents are really connected there, right? So when AWS says your data is secure when it's traveling from US to Europe, because it's not on a public network, like it's traveling on their own cables with their own security protocols implemented. You can just have maybe different companies have invested and put the cables there, and you can just rent that. But that company would have data traveling for different other companies as well, AWS as well as some other company and some other hundreds of companies also. But here AWS says, and Azure says, and Google Cloud says that these are our own cables, and only AWS or only Azure data travels on their network. So that's why they guarantee that it's pretty secure when you're connecting to when you're moving your data or copying your data, or one virtual machine is in US data center and one virtual machine is in European data center, and that virtual machine copies data from US to Europe. So obviously that's going to be um, traveling on their own secure network, right? So this is one example of all the physical structure that goes on, and how the whole AWS and Azure are offering their secure services across the continent. And so that's just how complex behind, we just connect through username password, but we are coming and connected to some application that is on this server. Maybe that application is on this server, or some other country, some other continent, and some other data center. Now, if we go for some more understanding of how the whole environment is, how AWS is offering services near us. Today, we're in Toronto, right? Tomorrow, we're going to be, suppose, in US. And maybe 6 months after that, we needed to travel to Europe. But we see our data is traveling with us. Our data is just there with us, and it's so securely and very fast we access the data. Because, so if we go for Azure Global Infrastructure map, okay, we go for map. Now, AWS used to have a very good animated map and then they removed it. I think, there was a globe that I could move by clicking. So maybe some days in the class, I used to move by just enjoying moving it. So maybe that took a lot of compute in the background for AWS, and then they removed that side. I don't know why. So, but the thing is, that was so ridiculous. That was such a good map, globally showing there. Maybe I will just try again, AWS global infrastructure. Maybe they put it back. AWS global infrastructure. No. So that was the best way to show. But again, where there are AWS data centers, they are showing here. And if you put that Switzerland coming soon, so coming soon are all yellow. Otherwise, they have in Canada, Canada Central, and then Ohio, Gulf Cloud. So this is how on the globe they show. But yeah, they have removed that animation. Seriously, that was such excellent animation. But we're interested in knowing about Microsoft Azure. So they are in 60 plus regions. Oh, what is a region? Okay, some physical area. But, and the example is there, how data centers are built. And then they also have tested building data centers under the sea, underwater. So because the machines really need a lot of cooling, so underwater they've been testing vigorously as well, and maybe they are already using that. So when we go for what is global infrastructure, Azure global infrastructure is made up of two key components: physical infrastructure and connective network components. So the logic. So okay, I'm going to talk about logic, and I'm going to create some diagrams here as well. But the physical component is comprised of 200 plus physical data centers. So one data center might consume nearly $1 billion, or more or less, or maybe multiple data centers, 2 or 3 data centers in a region. So 200 plus data centers arranged into regions and linked by one of the largest interconnected networks on the planet. I showed you already that submarine cables, they actually own those submarine cables. Imagine putting a submarine cable between US and Europe. So how much investment would be required? How much expertise would be required? What kind of material, what level of material needs to be implemented there, right? So they've done all that. So that's a huge investment. So with the connectivity of the global Azure network, each of the Azure data centers provide high availability, low latency, scalability, and the latest advancements in cloud infrastructure. Okay, so we're going to be explaining that, but I needed to show you a big map. What? See, again, AWS still shows a better map, actually a map. So that there's products by region. If I go there, want to, oh, okay. So, hey, Mr. Map. Check product availability by region. Okay, so that's ridiculous. Every time when I start a course and I'm looking for those links don't have, they used to have maps and then they don't have. So Azure region, I wanted to show you everything by diagram. View Azure geographies and regions. Okay, maybe that is it. Oh, explore the globe. Okay, please have it animated, please. Loading the Azure global infrastructure experience. Ta-ta-da. We should have some, you know, alien kind of music. Okay, just kidding. Seriously, when are you gonna load? So what is a region? What is an availability zone? And some other info. Ah, so they have it. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Like, are you gonna finish loading? Seriously. Come on, move. Shoot. Push. Push. All right. Can I move it? No. All right. But anyway, these are the regions. So through constant animations, this is actually a video, right? So it's not interactive. Explore the globe. Yeah. I cannot. Okay. I'll just click that. Oh, now I can do it. Oh, wow. Seriously. Okay, guys. So you need to open this just to keep moving it for 1 hour. It's so much fun, right? I'm just kidding. So, there you go. There's a link in the WhatsApp. Oh, no, into the, that's it, in the so in the chat there, go ahead and open it. And then let's understand how a cloud service provider provides services to us. How come they're so near to us wherever we are on planet Earth, right? So I'm going to put that here in WhatsApp as well. So now you can see here. Oh, there's a satellite here. Push. Okay. No. So where are we? So this is North America, right? And if I go there, so that's Canada East. That's where we are supposed to create our free account, Canada East. But what is it? If I click on top of that, now comes that explanation of region. So let's talk about a region first. And I hope you have the globe in front of you now. I put the link in the WhatsApp as well as in WebEx. So we need to understand the infrastructure of cloud, basically. And then, um, uh, so yeah, it has opened and there you go. So Quebec City, oh, so Canada East data center is actually in Quebec City, right? And data residency stored at rest in Canada. So if you want, and pretty much every company wants their data to be inside the country. So that is called data residency. And yes, if you are a Canadian company, you would want the data to be inside Canada, right? So in that case, yes, at least for Canada, we can say that in Canada East, we can store our company data as a Canadian company, right? If we go for year open 2016, it was opened. Availability zones are nearest region with zones available. So let's talk about this. What is region? What are availability zones? And then what are data centers? How then they come inside or they fit in, right? Okay, so I will go here and so region in a cloud, it's a large physical area divided into availability zones, right? It's a large physical area. So suppose it could be the size of the whole East Coast of US and Canada. It could be the size of whole province like Ontario. So they define the physical area according to, suppose there's a lot of business activity going on in Ontario, but not as much business activity going on in Alberta, right? So they would have data centers near those business activity areas or business hubs, right? And they would have data centers or regions, large physical areas where they would spread their data centers. So those large physical areas would be near the business hubs, first of all, like Silicon Valley. And then the second thing would be that they would put one in East Coast and then a further away West Coast. So if your company critical data and virtual machines were in East Coast, then that data would be still there would be a copy of that in the West Coast as well here. So see this is West US here. This is West US 2. So there are two regions in West US, and then in North Central US now they have put that Central US as well. It used to be not there, but now they have put that built regions there as well. So West Central US and West US 3. And then there's Canada East, Canada Central. We have here we have some smaller Deerfoot Solar. So there are some services that are there. And hey, Sideline, how are you? Cool. Okay, anyway. So what we're talking about is that first of all, they would have regions. Regions will have availability zones. So there will be within the regions, so the region size, you could see that it could be the whole East Coast or West Coast. Second thing, there can be three or more, majority of the time it's three or more availability zones within our region. So one region is called, suppose, East US. So three availability zones inside East US. Second region is called West US. Three availability zones inside West US. I'm going to talk about what is availability zone now. So East Canada, three availability zones. West Canada, three availability zones, right? So within an availability zone, there can be 2 to 8 data centers. Within availability zones, there can be 2 to 8 data centers. And we saw how huge a data center could be in a big area, and having 100,000 to 300, up to 300,000 physical servers, right? HP, Dell, whichever, or they have their own factory for that. So there could be 2 to 8 data centers. In each data center, there can be 100,000 up to 300,000 physical servers. So how huge the environment is needed in that case, right? So a physical area would be called, a large physical area would be called region. It would be near a business hub. And so like when there's a business hub, there will be jobs there, right? So we would be in those cities where there are jobs, and Toronto and Quebec and New York. Those are all the cities which are business hubs. So that's why we are here. If there were jobs in Alberta more, we would be there wherever the jobs are, right? So the thing is that regions will be created there as well, so we could connect to our job, easily. Okay, and then availability zones. These are, so where are the availability zones then here? So the blue ones here are supposed to, so if I'm going to click the blue one here now, and it's going to open now, or that's it. Okay, so it's a point of presence, pop here, and okay, Canada Central, and availability zones available with 3 zones. Okay, it says here, but the dots are supposed to show the availability zones. Big level wind project. So that's just to cool down the data centers, and Timber Road wind farm. So they are using a lot of wind farms to get the energy, right? Because they have funds, so they can do that. But I don't see them showing the proper data center availability zones there. So availability zones, nearest region with zones available: Canada Central, cross-region replication, Azure site recovery. Okay, so they didn't show it exactly like that. If I just go to Europe side, Finland, so the Sweden Central, that's the region. Again, you can see 3 zones inside. So if I go to Germany West Central, 3 zones inside, right? So now let me just create then the idea behind the 3 zones being there. So how does it really work? Now you have a region here, right? And this is, suppose, a region. And we'll just put regions here. Okay, regions. There you go. So region. And now it's a big physical area. And how it shows on the map, it shows as this dot here, right? So this is Canada East region, right? You can see Canada East region. So within the region, so that's a big region. There are 3 availability zones. How do they really look like then? And why are they created? I'm going to say nearby, and that's what it is. So nearby, there would be, suppose, if we are going for Ontario size here, that's a big size, right? So so suppose this is the East Coast, wherever they have created the region. So there would be 3 availability zones that would be a bit nearby. like suppose it's Quebec availability zone, Ottawa availability zone, and now they could be like 300 miles, kilometers away, but the availability zones could be even nearer. So suppose these are the three availability zones. Normally they are built nearby. A region from another region would be very far, but the availability zones inside are a bit more nearby. So why? Because now in the availability zone, so let me just write here AZs. Normally they're called AZs. So availability zone or AZ1, and then availability zone AZ2, and then availability zone AZ3. In each availability zone, they have then the data centers, right? So there could be 2 to 8 data centers there. So data center, data center, data center, data center within one availability zone, right? And then there is data center, data center, data center, data center, data center, and then obviously the data center here as well. So lots of 2 to 8 data centers. It could be more than that, right? So data centers. Now, how does it all work? Because you have created a virtual machine here. You have created a VM here, right? A virtual machine here in this availability zone. Now, there could be, you have created a virtual machine, suppose in this data center DC1. So all those data centers are there, and so DC1 data center 1, DC2 data center 2, right? And DC3 data center 3, and so on. DC2, DC3, it goes on. DC3, right? Same here, DC1, DC2, DC3 up to DC8, data center 8. And then there DC1, DC2, and then DC3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So how then it works? So now you've created, if you don't want to spend a lot, so within the availability zone, within the region, you can create one virtual machine, and it's so you create one virtual machine here, and within the availability zone in another data center, you create another virtual machine. So if there's an outage on this data center, it is out, it is crashed, you're not connecting. So the copy of or standby virtual machine on this data center, you would be shifted to that. And hence the data centers are nearby, because if you have an active virtual machine here and a passive or standby virtual machine here, so what happens is that if there are hundreds of users connected to this virtual machine, maybe there's an application, insurance company application here, they're all connected. So the data that the users are creating, all that data is being copied to a nearby data center here, right? And it's copying. Normally it is asynchronous replication, right? So the virtual machine on this data center within this whole availability zone is copying its data to another virtual machine in another data center, nearby data center, that is, within the same availability zone. Now, if there is a data center loss or outage, obviously you still have your virtual machine or your data secure here. But if you have AZ level outage, availability zone level outage, so obviously you would spend a little more, and you would it's up to you, and it's not that big difference of money as well. So you have a virtual machine here, and then you have a virtual machine here as well, and those two virtual machines are actually okay. So those two virtual machines are actually synchronizing with each other. Now, if there is a loss of full data center, if there's a loss of data center here, full availability source, sorry, availability zone level data loss is there. The whole availability zone is not available right now. The connectivity to that is lost. So your virtual machine was a copy of that was here as well in the other availability zone. So that's why it has to be a bit near, right? So it could synchronize all the changes that were happening here. So you would still be able to access if you had opted for, hey, I want one virtual machine to be in this availability zone and its copy should be across availability zone. A little more cents per hour you will be charged. And then you can have, then obviously you have lots of other regions. So you have here either you have East Coast and West Coast comparison, partners you can make, or you can make East Coast region 1 and East Coast region 2, maybe nearby, right? So you can create that too. So this is suppose region 2 here, another region, and suppose it is West Coast or West US region, and this is East US region, right? So now this one also have the same type of availability zones and they also have the same availability zones, data centers inside, right? And suppose you create a virtual machine, but you want it to be more secure, and for some reason, uh, maybe a meteorite or something, that meteorite passing by Earth and it affected our electricity because of solar storm or something. Okay, so what happens is, suppose you create a virtual machine here and you opt to pay some more, a little more, but you say that, hey, my virtual machine will be in the data center inside the availability zone, inside East US region, and its copy should be in our data center inside the availability zone, inside another region, which is West US. So you have one virtual machine or data in East US region and one virtual machine or data in West US region. So if there is a region level outage that happens, so in that case, you still have access to your data or virtual machine in the other region as well, right? So that would be a very important design decision from your side, that how much you want to invest. Also, why would you want to put your virtual machine on a West US, which is so far from your actual office here? The other reason would be that if you actually have customers in the West US region, right? And while your main office and a lot of customers in East US, but you also have customers in the West US. So that would be the other reason that you would actually create a virtual machine copy here of your actual virtual machine. Active virtual machine is here, but this could also be an active virtual machine. So end users are connecting the East US side. We are in a East Coast, right? So suppose it's a New York based data center or it's Canada East. So people from Toronto, New York, Michigan, all those sites, they are connecting to East US data centers. But then there are California, they're in West US, right? West Coast. California is West Coast, right? Anyway, so in that case, and Washington, right? Am I saying it right? Yeah. Anyway, so there would be customers there. So you would create a copy of the same machine here in West US region, because they would want to also connect and make changes. And those changes would be synchronized across the East Coast and West Coast to all the other regions. So you would want to create a copy of a virtual machine or a data across the US continent, or maybe in another continent, for two reasons. One is just the backup, and you want it to be as far as possible, maybe, if you want that, or across the continent at least, if you want, if your company prefers, or if you have customers that are actually in that particular continent, and you would want a copy of this data or virtual machine there as well. So in that case, you can then decide that, why would I create a storage or virtual machine or database here as well across the region? Our company scope and our company, how much they're willing to invest as well. So it depends on all that. So what we learned till now is in terms of infrastructure. So first of all, this course is about infrastructure as a service. So what is infrastructure as a service, it is that it's a data center at your disposal. Oh, what do we do in a data center? We create virtual machines, storage, networking, databases, and hundreds of other services. And how do we connect to that data center? So then you see that how physically it is divided. There's a region. So nearest region to us would be Canada East, because it's Quebec. We're in Ontario, right? And East US or East Canada East. Those would be the regions. So if I just go there to the map, so nearest to us would be Canada East, Canada Central, and East US, this one, right? So East US, then there is East US 2 within the same region, but there's Central as well, and there's South as well. These are new since last year. West Central US, West Central US, and then actual West US 3, West US, and West US 2. So they have really strategically put data centers there because their business needs to be connected. So that's pretty good, right? And that's what we're talking about then. And within a region, you would have 2 to 3 or more availability zones. And those availability zones will be nearby. So suppose this availability zone is actually the whole GTA, right? And this availability zone is all Quebec City and the surrounding area. And this could be Ottawa or maybe or nearby. And then the data centers, suppose in GTA, one data center is in Toronto, other data center is in Mississauga, other data center is in Milton, then another data center is in Scarborough or other data center would be in North York. So it could be like that distances. So they would have then cables dug in, cables under the ground as well. They can dig, put under the water on the ocean floor. So obviously they can dig in as well. So all the data would be copying between the data centers here across these data centers, and then copying across availability zones here, data being copied here, and then across the regions as well. So then now you understand that there's region, there's availability zone, there are data centers, and then each data centers have physical servers, right? So this is pretty important to understand, and because it's recorded, so you can always repeat it and make your own notes out of that. And also you can, the more knowledge, the better. You can also throughout the week go to YouTube and then, okay, what is a region? And there will be so many lectures there, but they're all pretty much talking the same thing. So make your notes and create your own diagrams and try to understand that, oh, okay, so we're doing a course called the course which is related to infrastructure as a service. So we can create an infrastructure ourselves and everything is at our disposal. How many networks you want to create, how many storage accounts you want to create, how many virtual machines you want to create, and whatever other services and how many instances of that you want to create, right? Okay, so that is, talk about region, and I'll just put that diagram, picture of that diagram for you in WhatsApp. And also, I'll be putting that in the slide. So I'll give that slide. So that's where we started this whole thing. Also, that URL is so important because they didn't have it before. AWS used to have it, but this is amazing work by Microsoft as well. Finally, they decided to have this one as well. So a picture of this would be another muy importante. That means very important. Okay, I'll just put it here. I was supposed to put that URL here actually. So let's quickly do that and let's go ahead. So we understand that this is infrastructure as a service. Then there is software as a service, which is just you don't have to install anything. It's just available there. So Microsoft Exchange, Azure Active Directory, that is all software as a service examples that it's just readily available. You don't deploy anything. But in infrastructure as a service, you actually deploy stuff. Okay, if we go ahead a little, then yeah, we were talking about public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, service types. So public cloud would be what we will be using throughout this course, and it's AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and then private cloud is that if you have deployed the cloud software in your branch data center. So you have your own hardware, you have your own physical servers in your company. On top of those physical servers, you download the Microsoft Azure cloud software, AWS cloud software, or Google Cloud software. So that is also an expensive solution. So it's not that easy. Like for George Brown, we were talking about that we wanted to deploy the private Azure private cloud, and we were not. It was pretty expensive. It was $100,000, $200,000. Seriously. Nabi says in the chat, so that's mean Azure admin is about infrastructure service. Yes, exactly. Azure admin is about infrastructure service. That's more tough, and that's where the job, that's where they pay more, because the more complicated it is, the higher the pay, right? So that's why this is so critical to understand as soon as possible, to get a better job sooner. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So here, private cloud, you have to download the software, but as I told you, it's $100,000. What we basically wanted minimum, it was pretty expensive. So and then hybrid cloud is just that you have a company here, and so you have a company, and suppose it's Toronto office, right? And then you have your company decided that you would have the cloud services. So, looks like cloud, right? Okay. So here, suppose you have Azure IaaS. Now, we're going to have some of Azure SaaS as well, software as a service. And anyway, I'm going to explain that by the end of this class, that how we're going to go with the lab. Okay, so here, Azure IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Now, Toronto office has, suppose, this is how you will see hybrid environment. Many hypervisors here, physical servers, hypervisors, ESXi, VMware ESXi hypervisors, Microsoft Hyper-V hypervisors, right? So all those hypervisors are here. And on top of those hypervisors, now these are like VMware ESXi hypervisors. What does hypervisor do? They host virtual machines. The one job of hypervisor is to host virtual machines, right? So these are the virtual machines, and these are the virtual machines have OS on top of it, obviously, and an application on top of it, right? So one hypervisor is installed on a physical machine, second hypervisor, and they have virtual machines here, right? And so hundreds of or thousands of users are connecting in big company to this application that is on top of an operating system. This operating system is on top of a virtual machine. This virtual machine is on top of a physical server where a hypervisor is installed, right? Now the company says, hey, yes, we have seen that our rival companies have actually Azure or AWS, and they have shifted some of their critical workload up there as well. So why don't you do that too? So you need to know how VMware really works, first of all. And then you should then know how to move a VMware virtual machine into Azure cloud with the Azure virtual machine. So obviously there are steps there that convert the VMware virtual machine to Azure VM, and that would be that you could go for convert the .vmdk. .vmdk is a virtual disk extension of VMware virtual machines, right? To .vhd. This is the virtual disk extension of Hyper-V virtual machine, right? So the thing is that when you convert this, then you can upload the VHD to the IaaS, and there you create a virtual machine and attach this virtual disk to that virtual machine. And that would be the Azure virtual machine, right? Azure VM. So how do you convert the whole thing? Now suppose it's an AWS cloud. So you should know then what is the conversion, and will the application inside and the user data be intact when it actually reaches here after these conversions. So you need to have conversion tools. Normally they are free, available from VMware as well as from Microsoft, the conversion tools. So the thing is that hybrid environment or hybrid cloud would be that some of the company's applications are on a virtual machine on premises inside the data center of the Toronto office or New York office or your company office. And some of the workload they have shifted actually to IaaS. So we have one lab here where we're going to be having on premises one virtual machine inside Hyper-V or VMware, actually Hyper-V, hypervisor. We're going to create that. And then we're going to have a virtual machine here. Then we're going to have also a virtual machine in Azure, right? This is Azure Site Recovery Lab. And this is really important lab, right? So this virtual machine will be synchronizing with our laptop virtual machine from cloud. So that's how we're going to configure it. And then, so suppose this is an active machine. Active machine is always there where the end users are connecting, right? This is a passive machine or standby machine. Something happens to active, then passive becomes active, right? So failover happens. So we can also, what we will do is we will create in Azure Cloud a virtual machine here. We will create one virtual machine in our laptop inside VMware Workstation. Then we're going to do a failover from the cloud virtual machine to the on-premises virtual machine. Not only that, in terms of failing over and synchronization, we're going to also have a virtual machine created in West US region, right? West US for data and virtual machine. We're going to do that lab. So you will have one virtual machine here in East US and one virtual machine here in West US. And then we're going to actually do a failover between East US and West US region. So this will be active first, and this will be passive. And when we fail over, so this will become active, and this will become passive. So we're going to do both type of lab where on-premises virtual machine as well as across the cloud virtual machines and data will be failed over to, right? So that would be a really interesting lab, and one of the most critical labs there. How do you really fail over data to other clouds and on premises, right? So I'll be sharing the slide with you, but I'm just putting all the. So that's just hybrid cloud, yeah. So okay. Okay, so we're going to be doing a lot of those, labs there. But now we can go for the slide and talk about some course topics as well. So yeah, Microsoft Cloud, the cloud you can trust with the numbers to provide. 90% of Fortune 500 use that. And also compliance offerings, the largest portfolio in the industry, 120,000 new users, new Azure customer subscriptions per month. So yes, the adaptability is aggressive with Microsoft. Yes, that's true. And then it shows the region wise and map wise. We already saw the map here, 42 Azure regions, but we saw that, well, this is old and actually it's 90 regions now. So you can see how old is that. And then there are other clouds as well. Amazon, Terramark, Google Cloud, and Rackspace, DigitalOcean, IBM Cloud. So there are other clouds as well. The market, Alibaba Cloud from China, right? And yeah, so some of those, when you're choosing a cloud solution for your company, always try to see um, which cloud environment has the most downtime in a year. So how long has it not been available, right? So that's how also companies check. Then there's a price tag. Oh, AWS is expensive. I'm going to go for Azure, or AWS is more stable and Azure is not. So I'm just going to go to AWS. So there could be many reasons for that. But companies basically go for two cloud providers or three cloud providers even. You know, this downtown, I think the day before yesterday, the whole downtown core lost electricity, right? So, you know, that was an outage. And if somebody had a data center here and their data's copy was somewhere else as well, so those companies would have shifted to that other data center, suppose in data center in Etobicoke and downtown, or data center in Quebec and Toronto. So, uh, so that's where you need to see the outages as well, right? And other than that, so how many minutes in 2016? So that's pretty old analysis. But you can go for 2022 that which data center was online or how much outages. So I'm just saying that go for outages and search it on Google as well before you choose that which data center or which cloud service provider like Azure or AWS we should be putting our critical data on. Then there are some job sites and you can check them out. Just type Azure and your city and you will see a lot of jobs there. And yeah, so this is the timing for that. Today is 13th of August, and Saturday is 3 to 7 for our online class, 20 or more classes, and to reach all the exam objectives. And then, yeah, I normally say there that are you the easygoing type? I'm sure you're not. Just, you know, you have to really be ready for hard work, or it's you're the hardworking type. So try to understand and follow what instructor is saying. Let me know if I'm going fast. Ask me to repeat what you don't understand, right? Not shy of asking simple and easy questions. Work on your home lab and SMS me, really. Email me. I think this is a pretty old slide. So SMS me, email me with screenshots or call me if you're stuck. You know what? So then work on your home lab and put your error screenshots on class WhatsApp group, and we will all be there to help each other. So guys, the more we help each other, then our troubleshooting skills get sharper and sharper, right? So the thing is that the troubleshooting skills is what is required in the market, right? So if anyone's in trouble and asking question, and if you resolve it, so obviously you're troubleshooting for that person, right? So more benefit will be yours, that your troubleshooting skills will be sharper. You will get to know some new error, and that same error comes in the production environment. So you already know that because you helped somebody resolve this. So the more those who help a lot others labs, they are more knowledgeable always, and they always resolve their own uh, critical issues in the data centers as well. So it's all about sharp troubleshooting skills. So just put your error on the WhatsApp, and we will all jump in and okay, did you try this? Did you try that? How about this? Oh, I tested it and it worked it that way. So why don't you try this and that? So we could just help each other as a team and try to get to that issue faster first and try to give a solution first, right? It's our benefit. Now the whole sessions are recorded, and you will get those videos there. Okay, there where? Let me show you that there. Um, mhm. So it's gonna be on LMS, right? So it's going to be here. So 13th of August, and I'll be enrolling you if anyone else has not been enrolled yet. So I'll be enrolling you there, and then you will find everything inside, and the first page and second page there and that's the link here. Go ahead and enroll if you haven't enrolled it already. So I'm just going to put that link in this chat and that chat as well, WhatsApp and WebEx. So that's where you should be getting the slide and the video, today's video as well. Next week, there might be more students joining. So I'll be giving them the video to catch up, because we're going to be starting then the tough labs right away. Initially, it's not going to be tough. And my job is to make it easier for you and fun for you, right? So you understand, have fun, and repeat and really work hard as well, right? Okay, so the best thing is to do your labs and then create screenshots of the major steps and send me, right? So that way I will also check that how did you do the lab? Did you really follow all the steps that I was doing? And then you will also have a set of screenshots of what you did for all the critical labs. And many students told me later that when I asked them to make screenshots of all the labs by following the video, so those screenshots were helpful for them later as well, because when they were going to do that in their environment, so those exact labs were there with screenshots. So it was so easy for them to implement that in their production environments, right? So my suggestion is, please, when we do the lab step by step, so when the video is released, start doing the lab, and then create screenshots and put it in MS Word, and then email me that. So it will be a treasure for you that you can rely on later as well. Okay, so if IT is your field, then it's a good thing to get a better hardware. If you have a laptop or desktop with 16 GB RAM, recommended is 32 GB RAM, i7 quad-core processor, SSD 500 GB hard disk, solid state drive, right? But minimum you should have 16 GB RAM, but not 8 GB. If you have 8 GB RAM laptop, just put one more 8 GB RAM there to make it 16 GB. So I would just add here minimum 16 GB RAM. And second thing is i7 quad-core processor, but minimum i5 processor. And then SSD 500. If you have HDD, it's going to be a bit slower, but the faster solid state drive SSD 500 GB should be there. It will be useful in performing all the complicated labs of VMware, MCSA, Exchange Server, Citrix, wow, Azure, AWS, because there are some labs where on-premises is needed, right? So 8 GB would be very less for that. In fact, our first lab is we're going to be creating our on-premises Windows Server domain controller. And obviously, there will be Active Directory installed inside. And we're going to connect that domain controller to our Azure Active Directory. So local domain controller, local branch Active Directory will be connected to our cloud Active Directory. So for that, you already 8 GB will be just terribly slow for you. That's what I'm saying. So before the next class, go for minimum 16 GB. If you need an address, then I will let you know as well. There's a guy who can give you a better used machine. I also got a used machine from him, and all my students get from him. So he knows then exactly what are the requirements, and cheaper, better machine you want, then let me know. I'll share the address with everyone. Number. Okay, so always better to group together and do certifications when you are, uh, really determined to do certifications. Then it's better to help each other and group together. And now AZ-104 administration and AZ-500 course content. So I'll be just putting that there as well. As now 509. Okay. So if you want a break, we can take a break and then go ahead. Otherwise, I'll be explaining that and we can end early today. But I need to put the labs. I'll be letting you know what do you really need for the lab. Huh. Okay, let's take a break and then come back since nobody said anything. So this means that I get to say. Okay, so
Okay,
there's a
so there's a
yeah.
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 Like how many minutes will the break be?
Um, So 10, well, normally I take 20-minute breaks, but today, if you want to finish early, so we can if anyone needs a break, really needs a break, so we can do that. Otherwise, we can continue and finish early. So if you want a 10-minute break, yes, we can give. Otherwise, we continue. So do we need a break, first of all?
10 minutes will be okay.
So two
Ten,
students were saying,
So
please
these ones are
continue.
saying, please continue.
Okay.
Okay.
10 minutes will be okay.
Okay, guys. So let's take not a 20-minute break, but let's take a 10-minute break. That would be good, right? So in 10 minutes, we come back. So 5:10, 5:20, we continue and then we finish early. Yeah, 5:20. Till 5:20, we have a break. Break. Class starts 5:20. Pause and mute. All right. So it's 5:20 and time just flew by. Okay. So so we were talking about the AZ-104 and AZ-500 certification. So these are the two links here. Obviously, you will get it in the slides, but I'll just put it in the chat as well. The Azure administration and security courses. So that's in the WebEx chat as well. And also in WhatsApp chat, I'll put it there as well. Okay, so let's try to visit and check it out. So 104, I'm just going to click that and it opens up the page. First of all, the Azure certification price is 165 US dollars, 165 US dollars. And it's Azure candidates for this exam should refer. You may be eligible for ACE college credit if you pass the certification exam. See ACE college credit for certification exams for details. So there's some deal here. You fulfill their requirements, and then your exam certification is going to be lesser in price. So another thing is that if you're connected to some big college, uh, like Humber College, George Brown College, Durham College, Seneca College, right? So then you can have 50% discount on that already. And then there are these, so that's about 165 US dollars. And yeah, you can just see your currency as well. And this page also gives you more details here. There's a study guide here and see details of the exam. So I'm just going to go ahead uh, and click that. So that just gives you the details of the exam. Official practice test is also offering here. And if I go to the certification. Actually, yeah, this one. Or I think this one, Azure Study Guide. And Azure Study Guide just tells you the skills being measured. So this is this Azure Study Guide that I'll just put the so AZ104 Study Guide link here, and also in group WhatsApp. And that just talks about the major topics here. Manage Azure identities and governance, and then Azure Active Directory, Azure objects. So it talks about the Azure users, how to manage users and groups, and the governance of identity, which means that those users will be accessing critical resources of your company. So what is the, how do you govern those? Do you want to give users access to critical data? No. Do you want to give unconcerned users the administration privilege, the higher privileges, right? No. So, and not all users should be accessing most sensitive data of the company. So you have to govern that, how users should be managed. So pretty important topic there. And then there is manage access control. So who has access to what resources? That is access control. We're going to talk about that, different tools for that. Azure subscriptions and governance. Again, that when you create a subscription or the billing cycle for whatever services you want, and how do you govern those? So there are many topics in that. We're going to cover those. Access storage, then there's comes storage. The percentage is for exam. This much will come in the certification. So for identities and governance, 15 to 20% questions will come in the certification. Same 15-20% for storage as well. And Azure storage accounts, we're going to talk about blob storage account, lots of labs on that. And then 20 to 25% will come from compute resources or virtual machines, right? So how to create virtual machines and how to create images of that, and then how to scale the virtual machines. Like you want at once, if there are more, there's a lot of traffic here. Suppose right now on your virtual machine in Azure, there are 100 users connected. All of a sudden, there's a demand of something you're offering, and 5,000 or 10,000 users connect to your machine. So your machine can automatically scale set, which means that there would be another copy of a virtual machine created, and some of the users will be transferred to the copy machine automatically. And then it could create 10 machines right away because there's so much traffic, or 20 machines right away because there is so much traffic. And this, it could also automatically decrease as well. So that's pretty cool. Suppose the 10,000 users have gone and now there are just 2,000 users, but automatically 10 machines have been created. So it will check that, oh, traffic is less according to the CPU. CPU is very less used, so it's going to start deleting the machines as well. So you do not get to pay, you don't have to pay for where the end users or customers are not using your virtual machine applications. So it's pretty cool. We're going to do a lab on that as well. Then there is configure containers. What are containers? There are, they're different from virtual machines in architecture, but pretty much they also host the application. So we're going to talk about containers. And if you have a lot of thousands of containers, then you use Kubernetes service. Otherwise, if you have 5 or 6 or 10 containers, which works like a virtual machine, but it's different from virtual machine. So if you have 5 or 10, then you don't need Kubernetes for that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to have slides on that, diagrams on that. Other than that, Azure App Service. So App Service is all the applications or apps that you deploy. There's maybe 3,000 of them that are available in Azure Store, Microsoft Store, that you can add those apps, and then how to secure them and their networking and deployment to your end users, and scaling. If suppose one app of, suppose it's a signature app for Outlook, and thousands of users are connected and using it. So in the back end, how do you want to make it available for your big company, thousands of employees, right? And then there is 20 to 25% questions will come from networking as well. See, networking. So we're going to do labs on what is virtual network, how to create a virtual network, and public IP addresses, and DNS, network peering, and subnets, how to create subnets, and how many we can create. What is network security groups, NSGs, and security groups, ASGs, application security groups, ASGs, right? So what is Bastion, Azure Bastion, what is security role? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to do a lab on load balancing. We're going to create networks. We're going to create subnets, and we're going to understand everything in a fun way. So when you see it being done, then it is very easy to follow it and repeat it and then understand it. So you do it 2 or 3 times by watching the video and you're good then, right? Other than that, there is 10 to 15% also, Azure resources related questions. Okay, so Tim says in the chat that my favorite part is Azure network and security. Okay, that's good to know. And load balancing as well, definitely. So we're going to have a long lab here on load balancing. We're going to have 2 virtual machines, and we're going to prove that the load balancing is working. So that's pretty interesting. And then there's backup and recovery. So what is Azure Backup Vault? What is Azure Recovery Services Vault? And backup policies, and site recovery and Azure resources. So lots of such labs are coming. This study guide, I've shared the link already with you. So you could check out all the topics and documentation, find documentation on that. Now I'm going to go for the other one. So that is 500, AZ 500. And this is also, I'm going to open the study guide for that. This is also 165 US dollars for the exam. And if I go to the study guide, so it has some major topics also mentioned in skills being measured. So first is identity and access. So now it's about security, but as I said that many of the labs of security we would have done in Azure Administrator as well, but obviously some of the labs we will only do when the security topic comes. Or if it's the same lab, and many labs are actually same in Azure Security as well as Azure Administration, but some are different. So obviously, whichever is the security topic, I'll leave it then for the Azure Security course to start, and then I can cover that. And that topic is still part of AZ104 as well, right? So I could do that too. But I'll be definitely covering all the exam objectives of AZ104 and AZ500. So that's, again, manage Azure AD groups, users, external identities. What are those? And administrative units. And then what is privileged identity management? This is all governance topic. So that is already there. And normally I covered this one, which is a security topic in AZ104 as well. Access policies, multi-factor authentication, Azure AD identity protection, passwordless authentication, and access reviews. And then there is SSO, single sign-on. Pretty interesting, and I will be offering a lab on that too. We can connect to some maybe Google Cloud or Google accounts connecting to Azure, or some third-party company online that is connecting to Azure. So configure app registration. So we're going to talk about how the apps are registered and the permission scope for that. Some labs are a bit longer, but the longer the lab, the better we understand, right? Then comes a hardcore security part here for AZ500. So hybrid networks, how they are created, virtual networks, we would have already created that. Azure firewall. So we're going to go in depth with what are the features of firewalls, what are the policies inside firewall, and firewall manager. And we're going to also explore the features of Azure Application Gateway, and also some security features in Azure Front Door for load balancing across the globe, and web application firewall. So what is that? So there's Azure Application Gateway, then there is web application firewall. So what's the difference between the two firewalls? and what are the features available there. Then there is configure a resource firewall, including storage account, Azure SQL, key vault, how to use a key vault to save keys there, encryption, decryption keys, right? Azure Web Apps and Azure Functions, then Azure Security Endpoint, Service Endpoints, private endpoints, and private links, and distributed denial of service attacks, DDoS protection. So how do we do that? So that's a lot of purely, obviously, security topics we're going to be going through and doing labs for. And advanced security of compute, so virtual machine security. Obviously, all the critical data is inside virtual machines. So manage security updates for virtual machines, how to patch them, container services, how to secure those, container registry, serverless compute, Azure App Services, encryption at rest and in transit. How do you encrypt data at rest, which is easy, but in transit, how do you encrypt that data, right? Configure a custom security policy, create a policy initiative, and then, so Azure policy, it has like nearly 400 plus policies there, right? So whatever our security policies, we're going to try to go through those. And then then there is threat protection. So how do you use Microsoft Defender to protect your endpoint, which is your users' laptops, cell phones, and tablets, and also Defender for SQL and threat modeling tool. So what is that? So there are so many security features available in Microsoft 365 as well as in Azure. Especially Microsoft Defender is pretty powerful. It has gathered a lot of security tools and also security monitoring solutions. So create and customize alert rules. So you need to have alerts for critical resources while they're, if they've crashed or they're working fine. How to grab monitoring logs there. And then there's Azure Monitor. Then there is also Azure Sentinel for security specifically. So 3 lines here are just for Azure Sentinel, another good security tool. Other than that, there's security for storage. So we're going to explore storage in AZ104. Then we're going to explore how to secure it in AZ500. So now access keys is a topic in AZ104 as well. And access control of storage accounts, again, a topic in AZ104 as well as in. So if we cover that in AZ104, then obviously we don't have to cover it here. Yes, Tim. So Tim says that Azure uses Sentinel. Yes, obviously, Azure Sentinel is a service there available for Azure Sentinel, and this service is a cloud-native SIEM that provides intelligent security analytics for your entire enterprise, powered by AI or artificial intelligence. So definitely, it will create a lot of log files, and in Logic Apps, it would also go for automated, connectivity with different apps there. Yeah, so Sentinel, Tim says in the chat, I thought Sentinel is a third-party software, but it may have been a third-party software, but for last few years, maybe Microsoft has purchased it. So, that's why it's Azure Sentinel now. But for the last 4 years, at least, I'm seeing that it's in Azure. So before that, it could be a third party, and Azure purchased it, right? Okay, so other than that, we have secure data and application security for storage. So yes, Azure Storage and Azure Files. Now these are all kind of, they're in AZ104 as well. But many of those topics up there are not in AZ104, obviously. Then there comes database security. So enable database authentication by Azure AD, enable database auditing, dynamic masking on SQL workloads. So masking, this masks your tables. Suppose you have columns there, and there's critical information in the columns and rows, so it can mask your columns as well. So we're going to create one SQL server. We're going to put some sample data there, and then we're going to mask. We're going to check that how to mask our data. So if you have access to the database, then 5 users have access. So you can, and 2 users are not supposed to see certain columns there So you can remove that access for those 2 users only. And when those 2 users log in, they may not be able to see certain data in the columns, right? So that's pretty cool feature. As well as implement database encryption for Azure SQL Database, implement network isolation for data solutions, including Azure Synapse Analytics and Azure Cosmos DB. So how do you implement network isolation for such databases? Also, how to use Azure Key Vault. So we're going to have labs on that where you're encrypting a data, and then you're saving your key in a key vault, how to create a key vault, and then access certificates, secrets, and keys, configure key rotation. If you want that key, one key not to be there and you want to change that and let others know, so you can do that, and back up all the certificates, secrets, and keys. So these are all main topics there. Some of the topics will be also in AZ-104, but many are specific to security, in-depth security. So those will be obviously it will be beneficial to go with AZ-500. So it's pretty interesting and in-demand skills for today's Azure environment and cloud environment. So definitely companies would be interested to know if you have those security know-how and knowledge of securing Active Directory, securing applications, securing network, securing virtual machines, and then what kind of threats are there on cloud, overall securing storage and data, and how to secure, what are the tools there, the key vault. So that would be obviously a lot of interesting labs coming your way. If we go back here now for the next class, how we need to be ready, right? So what we have to do to prepare our labs. So we will need to open a free trial account with Azure. Actually, you know what? We're going to be covering in next class. We're going to start from Azure Active Directory topic, right? So we will start from Azure Active Directory topic. It has a long list of services, security as well as authorization, authentication, and SSO. So those all topics need to be gone through. Now, first lab would be actually like this, that we will be creating a virtual machine inside VMware Workstation. So you must have a VMware Workstation installed. A free 30-day trial version can be downloaded from vmware.com free, where you can create a free account as well. So we're going to have a Windows Server 2019 or 2022 here. And inside this server, we're going to be creating Active Directory on premises. So this is just Active Directory, not Azure Active Directory, right? And then we're going to download here a tool called AADC, which is Azure Active Directory Connect tool. What that tool does is that it's going to connect us to our cloud environment. So from our laptop, we're going to be connecting to the cloud Azure Active Directory. And we're going to be creating here 390 users with a script as well, with PowerShell. And those end users that are here in local, suppose this is a Toronto branch server, and those all users need to use cloud as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create that Active Directory pretending that this is a Toronto branch server, and there are 390 users here that come to the Toronto branch and they work together in the branch. But we will be synchronizing those all users from local Active Directory to cloud Active Directory. And then we're going to check that those users which has username passwords here, and those their username passwords will be copied here. So do those username passwords work in this cloud Active Directory, right? So this is one of the setups that are pretty much in every company, and they would expect you to know that how Azure Active Directory Connect works and how local users are synchronized to cloud users. So this is so that's why I start from this skill, and then we go with all the Active Directory features. Pretty long list of features are there. We're going to explore all of them. Majority of them have labs. Wherever the labs are not possible, we're going to go for theory, but majority of them have pretty will be hands-on. So this is our first lab, and for that you need to have okay. Go to www.vmware.com and download the latest VMware Workstation Pro 16 and install it in your laptop before next class. That's one thing you need to do. And second thing is download. Okay, I need to put it actually in the slide here because I need to give you links as well, right? So that's one thing here. Okay, and second thing is that download Windows Server 2019, but do not install it. Just install the VMware Workstation Pro, but do not install the 2019 Windows. We're going to install it together, right? So what is the link for that? I'm just going to provide you that link as well. If we go to that and in the LMS also, I will provide you the links for all those download. So it's Windows Server 2019 ISO download free. Yeah, that's what we want. 2019 Evaluation Center. So we're gonna download that. Download the ISO this one. So you have to fill in the form, which is just pretty easy. And then, so I'm just putting that link here, and I'll copy it here as well in your chat. So you can download it. So these two you have to do before next Saturday. And do this before next class. It's in your WhatsApp as well. And then we're going to install the Windows 2019 together because there are some specific configurations, custom configurations that we need to do. So do not install Windows 2019 before we do. Also, we're going to do that together. Now I need to show, explain to you what we're doing and why we're doing that. So in order to create see this Azure trial account, right? In order to create an Azure trial account, you have to put credit card here. So this is a start free trial account. And if I click the start free, so it starts a form there, or maybe it will just detect my account already. And then it will say, oh, you already have an account, so you cannot create a free trial account. So that's a very bad thing about Azure IaaS, infrastructure service, that if we have once in our life created that 30-day trial account, we cannot create another one, right? So it's going to detect from our name, from our email address, from our phone number, from our credit card. 4 things, it already has it. If you have anytime, if you have created that before, so it already has that information. So when you try to create that again for 30-day free trial account, it's gonna say just shift to pay as you go. In pay as you go, what will happen is that I'm also going to use pay as you go later. So, I'm going to do the lab in such a way that you will not be charged. And then I'll tell you all the instructions. And if you follow those instructions, obviously you will not be charged. But if you do get charged, you will be charged like 50 cents, 80 cents, maybe $1, $2 or $3 max per month, right? So what is $3 when you are learning something that's going to get you 45 per hour, right? So spending $3 per month is nothing. So that's why I'm saying that don't worry. If you're unable to create a free trial account because once before you have created that, then obviously you have to create a pay as you go. So we're going to create a pay as you go together in next class. Second thing is you will have 30 days, as it says here, to use it in addition to free services. There are some free services, but the ones that we really need to prepare for the exam will not be available after 30 days. So that's not good. Popular services free for 12 months plus 40 plus other services free always. Now this is kind of misleading, but anyway, we're gonna try to create that free account, and those who are able to create, that's good. They can use $200 worth of services for 30 days, and it never finishes. It's a lot, right? So, but otherwise, now I don't want you to create this account for next class. Why? Because your 30 days will start from next class, right? So there's another service here called, and now I'm just going to explain that in detail. So there is IaaS based Azure, right, which is infrastructure service. It requires that we give our credit card info. This is just for security reasons, that they want to confirm you are who you say you are, right? Otherwise, don't worry, we're going to do it together. And the thing is that if you are fearful, then you can never learn, right? You have to be aggressive, but careful, obviously. So if you follow all my instructions, you'll be good, even if you're on pay as you go, right? IaaS-based Azure. And Azure Active Directory is our first topic that we're going to start. Azure Active Directory, is available in Azure IaaS. Yes, that's true. But another thing is, and that's a good thing for us, that then there is SaaS-based, SaaS-based Azure Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. There is a SaaS-based directory. It does not require that we give our credit card info. So that's a good thing, right? And Azure Active Directory is available in M365 services as well. Microsoft 365 SaaS cloud services as well. So what we can do is we can practice everything Active Directory. And you know, the benefit of that, why am I saying that we're going to create a Microsoft 365 account just for Azure Directory topic? Because we can create this account free for 30 days, free for 30 days, or as many times as we want. So suppose 30 days are done and we are still not done with Azure Active Directory. So we can actually create another free account without giving any credit card information, and we can keep creating more free accounts, as many as we want. So that's the beauty of the SaaS, software as a service, right? Software as a service. So we can create this account free for 30 days, and we can create it as many times. So that's why what I'm going to say is that next week in class, everyone must be on time. We will create M365 Enterprise 5. E5 is Enterprise 5 license. This is the top license of Microsoft, offering all the services. Enterprise 5 license, 30-day free trial user account. We're going to create that together, and then we will create in our laptops VMware Workstation. So you have to install it, and then the Pro 16, and do not install VMware Player. It's not gonna really work for our lab. And then we will install Windows 2019 server, and then we will install Active Directory, DNS, DHCP, and DNS, Active Directory and DNS, and then we're going to install private. So our first topic is Azure Active Directory. We do not need to create an infrastructure as a service based Azure account, because it requires credit card service. Because in IaaS, we use their physical servers, right? So they're going to charge us for using physical servers, but in a free trial account, they will not charge. First thing, if you convert your account to pay as you go and you follow my instructions strictly, so you will not be charged. Or per month, you might be charged like 50 cents, $1, $2 maximum, right? So it's good enough for us, right? So that's why, this is going to be very, very important that we do cover the Azure Active Directory topic with SaaS-based Azure Active Directory, which is exactly the same as Azure Active Directory in IaaS based. Then we're going to switch to IaaS. I'm going to show you that there's no difference in Azure Active Directory there as well. But once Azure Active Directory topic is over, then we will switch to IaaS based Azure, because then and we will start the virtual machine topic, right? Virtual machine topic. So, and virtual machine storage and everything about infrastructure service, because we're going to be using their hardware actually. So they might charge 1 cent, 20 cents, 30 cents. So the name of the game is no fear, right? And if you're fearful, you will never learn, and you cannot get good paying jobs sooner, right? So you have to be fearless. Just follow my instructions and you will be okay. $1 per month or $2 per month, we spend it on coffee anyway. In fact, some of us per day, we spend a lot more than that on coffee and things. So $1 or $2, if they charge, it's okay, and you learn something that you might get a very good job for, right? So it's going to pay off. So that's our plan. Before that class, you need to just have VMware Workstation downloaded, and I gave you the instructions in the chat as well. Also, I'm just going to put this in WhatsApp chat, so in the group, everyone will know what is our strategy. That picture is there in the chat, as well as here in the slide. I'm just going to put that, right? So before next class, download VMware Workstation, install it. First thing. Before next class, download Windows Server 2019 ISO, but do not install it. So I'll just put that there. Do not install it yourself. I will install it, and you can follow me or sit back and understand everything. If you want to follow that, also you're welcome. As long as you don't slow down the class, you're good. You're welcome. Otherwise, see the video, follow everything, ask throughout the week, and then again come to the class, sit back, understand everything, ask questions. What you don't get it, make me repeat the topic if you don't get it, and then when the video is released, then repeat all the labs and send me the screenshots. Right. So 2 things you need to do, and the rest we're gonna do together. Right. These 2 things you need to do. So any questions till now, let me know. Otherwise, have a nice weekend. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Right. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you. Oh, Oladapo says, whoever is the link, please. Yeah, that's a gamer. Oh, Jazz, thank you. Oh, there's a lot. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a nice weekend.
Do we have
Yep.
access to this slide?
This slide?
The slide, the teaching slide.
Yes. So I'll be giving you in LMS. I'll be putting that link here in WhatsApp now.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
all right. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy. Bye-bye. All right. Thank you. Oh, all right. Thank you. Bye-bye. And so